Hi, Mark. It's Tracy. Hey, finally got I got the software working correctly. I ended up spending quite a bit of time with the engineers over at Training Peaks, and they got me this new build of the software. So I think it's hopefully everything's going to go well with it this time. And we've got you back in here, sort of on the Macintosh side or whatever. So yeah, it's all good stuff. So anyhow, let's take a look at where you're at. First of all, this is great. -3 training stress balance. That's awesome. Um, we definitely know that this is exactly right for you. -8 would be too high. 0 would be okay. +4 or 5 would be probably a little bit on the bad side. And like me right now, because of work and everything else, I'm probably about +8 or 9. So I'm jealous, man. So you had a great week. You can see here. This was your week starting on the 6th. You came up. This was your recovery day here. um, that was your weights and spin, and then there's your day off. So basically, I think you hit a maximum of -6 training stress balance. So let me turn off those things here real quick. And uh, and uh, I'll also you see here that so for the weekend it was pretty heavy and your acute training load came up and then kind of dropped down. So everything is good there. Uh, we're cranking along here just fine. I'm just trying to think here what else I wanted to show you. Oh, let's take a look at your calendar. You can see here that per day, like these were your big hits here on the 10th. That was a big day. 60, 64. So that was your VO2, V1, and then your tempo workout the day after. All very good. And I think this was the day that I think that was the Saturday, and then kind of your long, slow distance stuff there. So if we back it out, you should check this out. If we back it out to 90 days, you can see here this really, really good, nice gradual build here that we're moving slowly up to. So that's really good. Again, we talked about this a little bit last week. By the end of the season or whatever, we'll have you kind of up in this range here. But yeah, I mean, you can also see these little dots here, the 20-minute peaks. You can see them starting to move up higher. So this is all good. Let's see. Oh yeah. So for the week, you had, if I look at your training stress, oops, that's those are monthly. Let's go back to weekly here. And I'll just go back 30 days. You're 270. So notice here you're 240 on the beginning of November, and then 247, 250, 270. So all this is going up. And I'm guessing we're probably going to be like 280, 285 would be my hope for this week. And that should work out pretty well. As far as what else did I notice here that was kind of cool? Your time in zones, very good here. You can see your anaerobic capacity here for the last 30 days if you compare that to last week. So you can see how as I switch these around, not a lot changes. That's because you've been very consistent with getting just enough of these times here, VO2 max and your threshold. And then, of course, the endurance and the active recovery to sort of backfill all of that stuff. So awesome. And if we look here, at your week here, you can see that was your big day on the 10th, your VO2. So these are great. Very good. Normally, remember how before we really had not been making this workout that you did on Thursday is hard. And you can tell here that you'll see it here in a minute, you definitely handled it very well. You didn't show any signs of fatigue. And the biggest thing is because you had this good day here to rest, you were able to come in and get a solid workout there. So these are, if you go by that book, Fast After 50, that's what they like. They like to see the good work and followed by recovery. We're not, if we were 20 years old and crazier, maybe we'd be doing, hard workouts and just have one easy day per week. But we know what works best for us guys. So That's where we're going. And I think weekly time and distance, I felt sorry for you here because I could tell that this means that everything you did was indoors. And it's the same here with us. If I go back last 30 days, you can see it's been a couple weeks since you've been able to be outdoors. And, I think we got a high of like 30 degrees today here in Denver too. So I know what you're going through. And it is, I guess, it is December, so that's the way it is. At least we have the ability to ride a trainer, which is 95% of the same stuff that we get out of being on the road, other than just the variations and all that. So let's see. Let's go back here to your week here, Mark's week. Okay, Monday. Looking good. There's your weights and spin. Everything, you started at 208 here, ended up at 241, so perfectly good. Looks like you're holding your power right around 160, 165, everything good there. There's your weights. You can tell there's a set, there's a set, there's a set, there's a set. The heart rate and then the recovery and all that. You're in such good shape that it takes your heart rate is recovering down to like 65, and and so it takes some work to get your heart up there. That's a sign of a strong heart. Wednesday, this is your VO2 V1, and I've marked all of your laps here, so you can see there's that first, I think it's a 5-minute set. Dude, awesome. 313 watts, man, killer. 313 watts, and then you really hammered it out. 341, 333, 335, 334. All of those except for the very last one. I mean, that's still basically a 2.0, a 1.99. I'm going to call it a 2.0. So your efficiency, your pedaling efficiency through all of these was fantastic. The intensity factor, 1.05, so that's 5% higher than what you would be doing in a time trial or whatever. And so you can tell, your intensity factor was pretty close to what you would be doing in a TT. And notice here that your max heart rate, 158, 162, that would be about right where you would land if you were in a TT. So, you probably started out, let's see, 125 heart rate, so you're recovering down to 125 on all of these sets, roughly 121 there, and then getting it up to your max was 158, 162. So I'm gonna do this again this week, man. I like this. I like what you're doing. I would like you to think a little bit. You see how you start your power high, and you on the second set and this first, you kind of turned it around. This set here on lap 8, you can see you started a little bit lower and then built it up. I'd like to kind of work on that. Is kind of one of our goals or whatever. And I'm pretty sure you're doing this on your TT bike too, which is cool. Okay, so Thursday, this was the tempo day, and thankfully these splits were all coming down to like 250, 270, 272. Again, look how close your efficiency factor is still there. You're still very efficient. So you can see no explosions of heart rate, nothing crazy here on each one of these days. That's telling me, tells me a good thing. It tells me that you've recovered well. Again, your heart rate's coming back to 108. Look at that, 108, 110, 109. 107 even went down lower there, and then it's dropping down to, what is it, getting down to 105 here. So awesome. And look, your cadence is up too. So you're working your cadence. You're not just sitting on the bike, taking a complete rest. You're doing that active recovery. You can see here, if I just isolate the cadence, you can see how that works. All right, so Friday, same deal. Very similar to a ride like Monday. This was your chance to recover, and this was your Saturday ride, which had those two. We were talking about that, I think, through text. Having these 10-minute shots here, and I went ahead and marked this as endurance. These two endurance zones here, just to kind of take a look and compare those two. So you had 5 and another 10-minute section there. And cool thing is that you were getting Your average power was 200, which is endurance, and your heart rate was only 130, 139, 140, all of that. You got it up pretty good here. These were hard sets, but you were saying you were feeling good. Everything went great. But look at your variability index, 1.00, perfect on these two sets, 1.00. And look at that. Look at your power. You see how it's climbing? Remember how I talked about what I'd like to see on your VO2 work 2 days earlier? That's exactly what you did here. So you just drove. You got stronger. Even here, I can see you were just burying it just because you felt like you wanted to. So really good. And then Sunday, a long, slow endurance day. Power, just here you had this little shot here, just, probably more for fun than anything else. But, just basically getting a sweat, using all of this time and energy to kind of backfill. So, and then here we go again with your Monday, your weights and spin stuff here. So, everything's good. You're looking healthy. I haven't heard any complaints about the knee, so I'm assuming that that's doing pretty good. Let's see here. And then, of course, let's take a look. So basically, today you're off, as you can tell, as you know. You're going to do the VO2 W1. Let's do it again. You're doing great. Tempo W2, which is going to be a little bit different. It just varies. It's pretty much the same thing. Weights and spin. Oops, and I forgot. I was going to have you do here. I'm going to want that to be a repeat of last Saturday with what do I want? I want the two 10-minute sets, just like you did. Minute sets and lots of recovery. Yeah, we definitely want that. And then, I know that this is a little bit boring, but if you can do that 100 minutes of 130, 135 heart rate, I mean, you can see what it's doing for you. You can see what it's doing for you here on the VO2 V1s, W1s. Maybe in a week or two, maybe down here, we'll start looking at VO2 W2 question mark. I'll just put that in there as a thought. And I think you'll be ready because basically in probably a week or two after this is when we'll start FTPs. So kind of coming to the end. I mean, I know technically your off season is over with, but we're coming to the end of the beginning first phase, I guess is what we would call it. So all really good. And I think again, you're already near 40%. We're going to peak out at 50% of time on your TT bike. And don't forget to do some alternating standing or I don't want standing. I want 50% of your time in the TT position and then 50% climbing. So just up on your drops. So however you're breaking that out. Sometimes I'll do it 2 minutes in the TT position and then do for you, then you would do just a minute sitting up, 2 minutes back down in your TT position. You do need to make sure that you're doing that, one, to kind of loosen up your muscles and everything else, and two, just to kind of vary things to it. It makes the time go by quicker on a wind trainer. So anyway, I think besides for that, I think everything's looking great. Really don't have any constructive criticism other than just do what you did on Saturday on those VO2s, and you were only off on just barely off, and you weren't doing anything wrong. It's just we just want to get you in the habit of increasing your power as you go, just to basically teach yourself how to do that. That way, when you land in the TTs, you've basically been training all winter long to increase power as the ride goes. So you don't that really helps keep you from blowing up on the whole thing. So anyway, dude, love you, and I'll get this thing uploaded here for you and send over your workouts here in a minute. Thanks, man. Take care.